I'm Sister Sonia Perdigon. I am a Filipina. We are now here in our monastery here in Hong Kong, the Porsyungkola Monastery here in Lama Island, Hong Kong. Actually, I am very blessed that I came to know St. Clair through our parish in Singalong, Manila, because our parish was run by the Capuchin friars, and so I was a member of the secular Franciscans when I was a teenager, and I started to learn about St. Francis and St. Clair. But I remember the first time I visited a seminary in Lipa, Batangas, a Capuchin seminary. I really admire how the friars, how the seminarians live together and how they pray. And I remember I asked the Lord, is there a place like this for women? Because at that time I really do not know anything about religious life or anything. So after that, I just kept it in my heart, and I was quite busy with my college studies in the university also. And I'm kind of an outgoing person, and so I like friends, I stay up late, and my father would always have a headache because I don't go home at the right time that he would want me to come home. And so when I told him I want to enter and become a sister, he was surprised, and at first he did not believe. But then after, because my father was raised as a Protestant, so he doesn't have the kind of understanding of what religious life is. And so he said he will not oppose what I like, but he just hoped that what I chose, I would really stand for it. So at the age of 18, I entered the monastery in Laguna in the Philippines. And after 10 years, then I was assigned, to start our first monastery in Taiwan, which at this year is celebrating its 25 years. I should say my vocation came just like St. Paul, because I was also surprised that I had a vocation, because I thought I really want to study abroad and maybe live out of the Philippines, but then when I realized I had a vocation and a contemplative vocation, I realized I really have to give up my dream of going around the world. But here, 34 years after that, I had been to Taiwan, built a monastery in Taiwan, and then here in Hong Kong, after 10 years in Taiwan, we built the monastery in Hong Kong. And also because of assemblies and meetings with poor clerics, I practically have gone to other parts of the world. The very dream before, when I was a teenager, I thought I gave up. But then the Lord took care of it. And I should say, now presently I am a cancer survivor. I survived, I think I survived. But my life now is a testimony of not so much of my fidelity to God, but God's fidelity to me. He had been with me through thick and thin. And 4 years ago, we had a new monastery in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, Philippines. And we started that monastery at the time that I was diagnosed with cancer. And there is only one question I asked the Lord. I said, why would you start a monastery and then give me a cancer? Can it be cancer and then not the monastery, or monastery not without cancer? But then 2 years after that, I realized I have to have both. Because what I did in our monastery, the things I have accomplished, because I know I am sick, I realized that truly I was able to accomplish those things because of God. And I remember in my darkest moment, as I was struggling with cancer, I remembered the Lord really talking to me, speaking to my heart, and He said, give me your hand and I will walk you through this. And so far up to this moment, God is walking me through the many ups and downs and terrains of my life. And if you ask me, am I happy with cancer? I should say I am, because I would not choose it any other way. Because what I learned, what I learned from these 4 years with cancer, I think if I did not have cancer, I would not learn it in so fast as 4 years. But the way I understood God's love is so much that now I realize that really the very breath that we have really comes from God. And sometimes when I remember 2 years ago when I almost died, I just realized that no matter how much we love God, our faith is not just enough. Really, God's mercy is something we need. And I also felt all these years the overflowing mercy of God for me. So being a poor Claire is something I really, not I love, but it's a gift of God to me. So that's my vocation.